Hey everyone, it's Shelby. I have a video today showing you how I color water. I'm going to be using the same image from last time, which is a digital image from Make It Crafty called The Beach. What I'm doing right now with the BG70 is marking where I want the darkest colors to be and where I'm going to be building color from. The motion that I'm using is a very light back and forth flicking motion. I'm barely laying down color. This works best for me when I'm going to use lots of different colors and I don't want to oversaturate the paper. And it's also a great motion for water, trying to create different lines of color throughout the body of water, especially in creating the motion. With the BG70, I'm going back in and pulling those colors towards the center and blending out the really rough edges. What I'm trying to avoid doing when I use this motion is to have those heavy beginning and ending marks with your marker. So I have found that if I use a light back and forth, I'm eliminating a lot of those heavy start and stop points with the marker. The B000 is what I'm using now, and what you'll see throughout this video as I add more color, I'm pulling each of the colors closer to center and also blending out any rough edges that I might have. The body of water or the color of this water that I'm trying to accomplish is a blue-greenish. We don't have a whole lot of water in Colorado, so I've had to look at some pictures on the internet to see what might work best for tropical scenery. B52 is a wonderful color for water. I love it. It works for all kinds of different waters, whether it be a lake or an ocean. It's just a great watercolor. The B72 is the darkest BG that I'm going to be using in those deep recessed parts of the water. I'm coming back in with the B52 and pulling that more towards the center. Again, continuing to use those light strokes back and forth. There is no color combination that you have to use to create water. It's your imagination. It's what works best for your eye. I prefer to see the blues and the blue-greens. It just seems like a happier body of water, more colorful. B91 is a nice light blue color with a bit of gray in it. Tones down the BG that I just previously used. And the BG70, again, blending all those strokes back into the center, and you're hopefully beginning to see where those waves might be and the depth that I'm trying to create with the darker colors. And again, pulling those into center. The B93, what I'm doing up towards the shore, is those waves that are closest to the shore. I'm trying to add a little bit shadow underneath them. The C3, you can also see that I'm adding a bit more color and depth. As I said before, have fun with coloring. It shouldn't be arduous. It shouldn't be difficult. It may at times you want to pull your hair out, but it's really what's best for your eye. So just have a lot of fun with it. The BG70, I'm going back over the whole thing, again using those same back and forth light flicking strokes to pull those colors. The B52, I'm going back under those waves closest to the shore where I had the B93 previously. Try to create a little bit of depth in those waves. And now the colorless blender to remove just a little bit of color from the areas where I want it to be the lightest, and also it's great for blending out rough edges. The Y000, just in case the sun's in the sky, I want the yellow of the sun reflecting in that water. B93 I'm using to darken up the horizon. For my eye, when I look at water in the distance, I see the horizon as a little bit darker. Again, going back in with the colorless blender. My favorite, the opaque white paint that's from Copic. I love to use this when I'm creating the foam that you see on the shore from water, from the waves breaking into the shore. If you see waves breaking out in the distance, it helps create that wonderful white look. I could probably sit here all day making white marks with this opaque white. It's a very versatile product. You can use it for highlighting your images if you have a fine enough paintbrush. It's water soluble, as you'll see right here. I need to go in and wipe some of that heavy marking off that I didn't like. I kind of blobbed it. Putting some water down on the paper to thin out the opaque white that's on the brush, so that the next time I go over the image, the white that's going to be on it is much thinner compared to the previous markings that I had put down. Now I've put water on that paper towel to ease up that heavy mark that I didn't particularly like. Brushing off some of the excess on the brush and smoothing out some of the edges, adding some more foam here to the shoreline. The other thing that you can do if your opaque white is dry is to actually color, not necessarily over it, you'll be able to see a bit through, but it doesn't negatively react with your markers. But make sure that the paint is dry. If it's wet, it will ruin your nib, so just check with your finger that it's dry, and then it's safe to use your marker on it. So here's the image. I hope that you learned something and had a great time. I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks.